Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Chee-Tash. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be talking about Look Out on Parenting here, but a very special chapter from Look Out on Parenting here, and this is the book right here that I've been reading from. Some of the listeners, trying to get the right, there we go. Some of the listeners might be wondering, you're reading this random book that I've never heard of, but it actually is a physical copy that my friend Ted Moss gave me. He even, where is it? He even autographed it for me, which I thought was pretty cool. Look at that. Autograph. That's pretty cool. We're going to be talking about the last chapter of this book, which is the hardest thing to do as a parent from Ted's perspective. And I guess this would also be like something that's pretty hard to do just in general in your life with whatever, friends, family. I know I've kind of experienced this recently, but the conclusion of this book ends with a chapter called The Hardest Thing to Do, Letting Go, and preparing your toddlers for release. If you guys remember, we did talk about that in Teddy's tips. I think one of the last tips was preparing them for release. And here at the conclusion of the book, I think it's kind of fitting. The hardest thing of all is letting go and having your toddler go off into the world without you. Well, your toddler that's grown up from a teenager to a young adult to an adult, letting go and specifically, saying goodbye. Saying goodbye. So it's a relatively short chapter. Ted starts off by telling a story about himself back when he was in college, and in one of the summers, in November 1972, him and his friend decide that they're going to go to Colorado. They're kind of getting fed up. Ted's thinking about dropping out of college, so they go out to Colorado to kind of start a new life. So they go out there to become ski bums for the winter. And after a very brief moment of contemplation, I agreed that ski bum easily trumped business owner because Ted had kind of considered starting a business. So instead, they go off to Colorado, and they're in Denver. And they're doing a lot of ski stuff. And they are meeting people. Spring sets in. We decided that it was time to leave Steamboat Springs, this is in Colorado, and we made our rounds saying goodbye to all our new friends. He goes around, they're saying their goodbyes, and I asked him if he thought, this was one of their friends, charismatic friend, he says. I asked him if he thought that we should exchange mailing addresses. Remember, this is 1972. He responded in a way that I still remember to this day. And this is the most important part. He simply said no. When I asked why, he explained it this way. He said, I figure there are a lot of people who come into your life for a while and then move on. I think it is best to just enjoy them while they are with you, and when it's time, just let them go. Ted goes on, this was his story here, then Ted goes on to explain a little bit. What I came to realize way back then and still appreciate today is that there was an underlying truth in his words. Time changes everything. Social situations evolve. People come and go. And the relationship you have with everyone, including your toddlers, will someday be just a memory. So think about that. You are constantly changing. I remember my dad telling me, and I think I remember reading this from other science articles, that your cells divide fairly frequently. So you're creating new cells. Old ones are dying off. So who are you really? Are you the person? Am I the same person that I was this morning, like when I woke up, as I am right now? Same thing with your toddlers. Your toddlers are there for that brief moment of their lives as a toddler, and then they're going to grow up and they're going to change and they're going to be different. They're going to go off to school. They're going to learn a bunch of things. They're going to have friends that influence them for better or worse. They're going to have jobs that influence them for better or worse. So they're going to change. But you have to kind of let go. I understand what Ted's saying here. You don't want to keep them sheltered. Everything you've done, everything Ted's explained throughout this whole book is preparing them for release. You know, from getting them up early to getting them ready to the drop off to creating structure in their life to crime and punishment to teaching them about sharing, potty training. Everything is there. Everything he outlines in the book is eventually to get them to live in the world without you. To me, that's what this whole book is about, to prepare them eventually for the release, to prepare them to say goodbye to them. And then they have to fend off in the world for themselves. And that's the hardest thing. And like I was saying earlier, it couldn't even be your toddlers. It could be a friend. People come into your life and then they go. And sometimes it's best to just not hold on to it, not try to change people. You know, and just, you can change yourself, but you're going to have a hard time changing people to fit them to your like contract of what it is to be like a friend. We talked about this in 4 Agreements too. So I thought it was a fitting end to the book. I thought it was a really good book, and I recently met with Ted and I told him that this book, I will definitely use things in this book when I have kids. For sure. I think, again, the book was straightforward, direct, common sense, not too much jargon in here. It's not a long book. And I think from what Ted said in the introduction, his goal was just to display what works, write what worked for him. And maybe it'll work for you, and maybe it won't work for you. I don't know. I mean, parenting has changed even in like the 10 years since this book was published. It's changed since Ted was a kid. He has some stories about that. So I don't know what the future holds, but I think there are some common core principles of parenting that Ted laid out in the book that I think will stay universal. But who knows? Who knows? All I could say is, I guess the one universal thing is it is hard to say goodbye in any situation. So that's going to conclude it for Lookout on Parenting here. I decided to come on the camera today so you guys can see me. We're going to have a major book announcement really soon. So stay tuned for that. And I'll catch you in the next video. My name is Chris. This is Chee-Tash. Take care.